three of the biggest myths, trends, or whatever you want to call it in the spiritual community that is actually the downfall of your spiritual growth and your healing growth that I'm going to discuss with you in this video now. Let's dive in. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. For you those that are new, my name is Christiana and I help empower people on their spiritual and healing journey. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and do the bell notification too, so then you're actually notified, because it's the bell that will pop the notification on your phone that you're watching this on right now. So let's get on to it. So there are certain trends or kind of myths, you want to call it, particularly with the new age community, that are kind of spreading some kind of false gospel or doing things that are not with integrity or are just kind of still in their ego. And that's not to say I don't get stuck in my ego, that's not to say I'm better than these people, but I just want to address these things with you right now, so then you're aware of it, you're aware if somebody else is doing it, you're aware if you may have been doing it, so you can begin to drop the stories and the labels and everything attached to this. So the first kind of myth or trend that I see is that spiritual people have to act a certain way. They have to have a certain persona and identity, so they have to speak a certain way, have some kind of articulated language that only spiritual people talk like. And it's no, we don't have to be that way at all. It's like me, I don't particularly talk in a way that's in the consciousness of evolution and the duality that we invoke here in this earthly realm, and I don't talk like that at all. And I used to think that was a thing I had to do because, oh, I'm not spiritual enough if I don't talk in a certain way or have this particular language or vocabulary, that's the word. And I thought, well, no, people can relate to me more because so many people are waking up now in the world. They just need that down-to-earth everyday person that they can understand. For example, one person that comes to my mind here is Russell Brand. The way he articulates, the way he talks is so fucking confusing sometimes. Even myself, as a spiritual person that understands a lot of spiritual concepts, struggles to follow what he's trying to say. And I watched the Diary of Your CEO that he was on with my partner. My partner is not spiritual at all, and my partner was he's totally fucking lost me. So we have this idea, this attachment that spiritual people have to act a certain way, have to behave a certain way, look a certain way, and or something like that. And it's simply not true. Spirituality can be for anybody. So I like to think my vocabulary is not very wide, but I can relate to the everyday person. So that's the first kind of myth or trend. It's kind of this idea from the New Age community that I'm so spiritual because I can put an inspirational post and talk in this way that's really soft and feminine. So the second kind of myth or trend that I'm seeing more and more in the spiritual community is that this idea of our humanness, any negative emotions, anything that's heavier is actually bad. It's associated with the ego, so it's got to be get rid of. We've got to have this kind of ego death, and everything is just bad. And yeah, so what you are doing here is actually denying your humanness. You're denying yourself the chance to express and embody every single emotion. But not only that, what we are doing when we are saying everything else is bad is we are spiritually bypassing our unhealed trauma and wounds and just being in the higher vibrational consciousness, a state of being. And when we spiritually bypass, we just don't integrate anything that has actually been holding us back in life, any kind of heavier emotions that you've been holding on to, your past pain. But this is actually just toxic. It's almost like toxic positivity. We're told that lower down vibrational emotions are not acceptable. It's almost like denying ourselves and putting everything in the shadow, like literally anything from like being sad to like just anger, putting it all away in the shadows so it's never to be seen, and deny ourselves of that. But we are denying ourselves to embrace and enjoy like human emotions. It may not seem enjoyable at the time, but in this time, in this lifetime, we get to enjoy the physical reality. We get to enjoy these emotions. It's part of being human. So this idea that everything is bad because it's all ego is just bullshit. It's, yeah, to me, it's not being spiritual. You're only spiritually bypassing. And my third thing is actually kind of linked closely to the whole heavier emotions. It's actually not integrating yourself because you are bypassing. You're going for the plant medicine all the time. You're going for the breath work. You're going for the meditations that will just elevate your consciousness. You'll get to higher states of consciousness. And so what you're doing is you're bypassing stuff and not integrating that. You're not doing the actual inner work in the present moment. We're just so highly focused on being stuck. We're almost addicted to these higher states because yes, it's heavier, it's not as nice when we get to experience our emotions, but we have to integrate these things. We have to kind of come back into our bodies, because the biggest myth is always about we've got to be with the ascended masters, we've got to be up in the universe, we're connecting with God and source. That's not true. We've got to be in the body too. We've got to be grounded in who we are. We've got to integrate all those energies that do come through, because I have been there. One time I was experiencing a lot of ascension symptoms. It was so intense. I felt like I was being pulled to a whole new reality. I felt like, what's the word? Depersonalization almost. I felt like everything around me was a movie, like a film, like I was just witnessing what was going on. Like it was not real. And so I felt so ascended almost. I felt like, oh my God, is this what it's going to feel like when we like finally ascend? I felt so disconnected from reality. But then what I did, I sat and meditated, and I allowed that to integrate in my body. I grounded myself time and time again. It was like a very emotional, like 2 weeks, because I was very unwell at the time as well. So I allowed myself to integrate that. And when we integrate, we become more embodied. And so we have to integrate in kind of sober moments, if that makes sense, in the present, not just kind of being up here all the time, integrating and grounding on earth in our bodies. So it's just not complete bullshit, but this kind of trend, or this idea that we have to constantly get to always a higher state of consciousness, always be up there. So I hope this video has been really helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next video. Much love.